In the early hours of Friday morning, Israel launched what it called Operation Rising Lion, a multi-targeted, high-impact military strike on Iranian soil. Airstrikes lit up the night over a few cities. Missiles and possible drones struck military sites, but also apartment blocks, civilians, scientists, senior generals. Israel claimed it was acting alone. The United States said it wasn't involved, but evidence suggests otherwise. What happened was not a routine skirmish or tactical maneuver. It was a provocation that shattered a fragile regional equilibrium. And Iran is not planning to sit quietly. This may mark the beginning of a seismic shift in the balance of power in Middle East. At approximately 2 a.m. local time, multiple Israeli fighter jets, most likely F-35s, breached Iranian airspace, launching a synchronized wave of missile strikes across key Iranian provinces. Confirmed locations include Tehran, the capital and political heart of Iran; Natanz, long considered a symbolic and strategic nuclear development site; Kondab and Khorramabad, home to critical IRGC and research infrastructure. But this was no surgical strike. It was broad and brutal. Apartment complexes were hit, civilian neighborhoods were scorched. Eyewitness footage uploaded within hours showed collapsed buildings, ambulances pulling out corpses, and chaos in the streets. The Israeli military called this Rising Lion, painting it as a bold preemptive action against Iranian threats. But to regional observers and most of the international community, this was a violation of sovereignty on an unprecedented scale, echoing not military necessity, but imperial entitlement. The aggression was unprovoked, and worse, it was familiar. The precision of the operation wasn't just geographic, it was personal. Israel deliberately struck Iran's strategic brain trust. Major General Mohammad Bagheri, Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces; Major General Hossein Salami, Commander of the IRGC, an institution central to Iran's strategic posture; Major General Gholam Ali Rashid, head of Qatam al-Anbiya, Iran's key war command unit; and perhaps even more telling, 6 nuclear scientists, including Faridun Abbasi, former head of Iran's atomic energy organization, Mohammad Mehdi Tehranchi, a prominent physicist and academic, and others deeply involved in both civilian and strategic energy research. These were not battlefield deaths. These were assassinations, political killings meant to be seen as a message. The message, no Iranian capability, military or scientific, is safe. Not from airstrikes, not from sabotage, not from Western-backed aggression. In the wake of the attack, Ayatollah Khamenei issued a stark warning. This regime must await severe punishment. The powerful hand of the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran will not let it go. The Iranian Foreign Ministry cited Article 2.4 of the United Nations Charter, which forbids the use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. And it invoked Article 51, the right to self-defense. This is not just rhetoric. This is a legal green light for retaliation under international law. Tehran made it abundantly clear. The blood of its commanders and scientists will be answered not just with anger, but with precision, planning, and perhaps escalation. What makes this moment especially volatile is that Iran does not view Israel as the sole culprit. The United States is now formally implicated. Official U.S. sources, including former Trump-era officials, have denied direct involvement in the strike. Yet reports point to clear coordination. American refueling tankers were seen in operation near Iranian airspace the day before the attack. U.S. military satellites were reportedly repositioned for strategic coverage. Intelligence was likely shared. Iran has labeled the U.S. the primary supporter of Israel's aggression and warned that Washington will also bear responsibility for the consequences. The U.S. maybe cannot protect Israel diplomatically, but in this case, evidence points toward operational collaboration, or at the very least, calculated silence in the face of known escalation. As Iranian officials see it, this was not a rogue actor. This was part of a joint Western architecture of pressure, now turned violent. Operation Rising Lion did not emerge from a vacuum. On April 1, 2024, Israeli jets killed IRGC advisors in Syria, men operating at the formal invitation of the Syrian government to combat ISIS and other terror groups. Iran's response, Operation True Promise, saw over 300 drones and ballistic missiles launched at Israeli defense sites. Western observers expected a limited Iranian response. They were wrong. Then came True Promise 2, after the targeted assassinations of leaders like Hamas's Ismail Haniyeh, Hezbollah's Hassan Nasrallah, and IRGC commander Abbas Nilforushan. Iran launched 200 advanced missiles at Israeli intelligence hubs. Israeli air defense systems, including the Iron Dome and David's Sling, were overwhelmed. Former Israeli air defense commander Zvika Haimovich called Iran a superpower in tactical missiles. The myth of Israeli invincibility was shattered. Each cycle of aggression and retaliation has chipped away at the old regional order. What was once a one-sided pressure campaign has become a symmetrical deterrence architecture. Why now? Why this scale of attack? Israel's leadership, especially under Netanyahu, has grown increasingly militant, increasingly isolated, and increasingly paranoid. With growing regional coordination among resistance groups, deepening ties between Iran, Syria, and Lebanon, and eroding U.S. public support, Israel's room for maneuver is shrinking. This operation may have been a desperate attempt to reassert deterrence through spectacle, but the consequences may be irreversible. With every strike on civilian targets, Israel undermines its own strategic position. It confirms to the region that it is no longer acting from strength, but fear. What we're witnessing is not just a military escalation. It is the collapse of an era. For decades, Israel operated with near-total impunity, shielded by the United States, unchecked by the United Nations, protected by Western media narratives. But the attack on Iran could mark a breaking point. Iran's missile capacity, Hezbollah's readiness, Iraq's militias, Syria's rebuilt defenses, even Yemeni activities. These are not isolated threat. They are nodes in a new strategic reality. Tel Aviv has struck, but Tehran will respond, not with bluster, but with calculated strength. And every response can move the region further away from U.S.-Israeli dominance and closer to a multipolar post-imperial order. Israel's rising lion may be remembered not as a show of dominance, but as a desperate cry in the twilight of its regional hegemony. Iran's patience has limits. Its power has grown. And this time, the world may be watching with different eyes. The balance of power in Middle East is shifting, and history is being written in missiles, martyrs, and the ruins of imperial illusions. And don't forget, like the video and subscribe the channel to keep thinking the world how it really is.